Hello Egypt fans, today welcome. We're looking at the ancient Egyptian oracle, the cards of Ra-Maat. This came out in the late 90s, I think maybe 1999, and they have been re-released since then. So I think if you see the Oracle of the Pharaohs, it will amount to the same thing. However, if you are wanting the original, you may have to search for it, maybe pay a great deal of money for it. We'll talk about whether it's worthwhile. And they were released by Norman Plaskett, I think it was 1999, and it says pack contains 128 page book and a set of 72 full color divination cards and full instructions. Now I got this deck off Oxfam secondhand, and I've bought things from Oxfam before. They have like their special shop, you know, online, and it works quite well. So it did mention that the box was quite battered and, you know, battle weary kind of thing. But once you get into the inside, the book, anything that you see on the book, that's my fault, because I've had it for a couple of months and I've been working with it, so that's probably my fault. And inside you have the cards. Now I have put the cards back into their paper thing just so that they stay put and don't slide around in the box, you know, just in case when I've got the book out, for example. Okay, so the book gives you, it's actually quite a nice book, you know, it gives you a nice introduction to how these guys came to this and what their thinking is behind all of this. So you will see that there's different sets of cards and they all work as a unit. Okay, so you pull from the full deck. You don't pull from the blue cards and then from the black cards and then, you know, no, you just mix them all together and you pull from the full deck. So you've got pylons. So you've got 21 pylons, okay, which we'll have a look at. And then you've got the arits, 7 in numbers, connecting point between the environment and the inner self. Similar in effect to what are known in Eastern philosophy and medicine as chakras. Okay, so here are the arit. They're quite colorful. I mean, for me, they're kind of meaningless in terms of their iconography. You know, without the book, the arits, I can't read them. Then you have the cubits, which are the black cards. Well, I have a look at those. And I don't think it gives you much about the cubits. They're basically, you know, you can see this is health, intellect, emotions, money and possessions. So you are going through life, okay, a bit like a minor arcana, if you ask me. Now they all, as opposed to the arits, these are actually using bona fide real iconography. Then you've got the deities. Again, there's a few issues with the deities, but for the most part I'm okay with them. Oops, sorry. You know, we'll talk about the deities in a minute. And then there's the laying and the reading of the cards. So they give you a very prescriptive spread to do, okay? But they do say that if you want to read it like a tarot, then go ahead and read it like a tarot. And then they give you card combinations. So this would be like almost sample readings, okay? So if you get these cards in combination, this is what it has meant for us in repetition, okay? This is what that section's about. And then you get the proper sample readings at the end. Okay, so that's the book. And my deck had this card in a double. I don't know why. Did the person buy a deck and then buy another deck? I don't know. But, you know, whatever. The back of the cards is very Egyptian with Wadjet and Khepera and Ra. So hopefully, I mean, it's quite washed out, so it might not come out very good. Okay, so when you have the deck all in sections, this is what, you know, these are the different sections. So these are the pylons, these are the arits, these are the black cards, and these are the gods, okay? So again, if you need to refer at any point, you know, you can go into the book. So 21 cards, 28 I think cards. These, there's not so many of those. I think there's about 15 of them, and then 7 harits, okay? So when you read with these, they're gonna show you different aspects of you. Do I find this a good way to work? Not particularly. I haven't found it particularly helpful. So you'll find that some of the cards from the pylon also appear in the deities, which can lead to, I guess, some confusion. Right, let me just take this out so that I can show you the pylons. The pylons are separated into 2 packs. You can see that they have a different header for 0 to 10, sorry, 1 to 10, and then 11 to 21, they have flames instead of having the scarab at the top. So you do start with a solar deity, then you go to Ma'at. So what I'm seeing is very much a major arcana that is starting with a magician, and then with a high priestess, and then the empress, and Ramesses as the emperor, the chamberlain for the Hierophant, twin souls. So you can really see a mirror image of a major arcana there. The chariot, Sphinx, the sage for the hermit, temptation. Some are more obscure, you know, tenuous, but the scales for justice, sacrifice for the hangman. You know, this is nothing majorly new. Death as 13, karma as 14, the jailer as 15, destruction, hope, beginning, plans, victory, and honor. So you've got a few more differences later on in the pylons, okay? But overall, this is like a rethinking of the major arcana as far as I'm concerned. The arits, so remember, these are like your energy centers, okay? So they do change because the number is different, okay? So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, as you would expect, 5, 6, and 7. But beyond that, the deities are not real identifiable deities, and the rest of the card, again, is gimmick as far as I'm concerned. If you know any different, then please tell me, okay? Let me know what I'm not getting here. But card 1 is the one that's most different to the other ones in the harits, okay? So you're just basically thinking chakras. All right. For the 28 cards that are the black cards, this is more like working with hieroglyphs, okay? So these I liked. So I don't have them in order, but that's okay because it doesn't really matter. So you can work with the depictions as well as the word, the keyword, I guess, the title. But for me, like, this doesn't really add up. You know, I mean, they've all got like their numbers. So the 6 is not tears, right? This is the number. I'm really not sold. I mean, I did buy it, you know, but I'm not sold on the whole. It does give a good reading, I will say, but then you could use the spread without the cards. I think you could do better. I do feel like the hieroglyphs have been sort of taken and completely ignored, because when I see the keyword, sometimes I'm like, what? Why are you giving these hieroglyphs this title? You know, it makes no sense, especially if you work with this deck, the Oracle of Sachet. Then this starts to not make sense at all. Achievement. Why this achievement, I will never know. Intellect. Well, why intellect? So, you know, there's a lot of unanswered questions for me, a lot of things that don't add up. I think the guy who did this, he probably did the best that he could with what he had. This is not the hieroglyph for health, by the way. You know, I know it says health, but this is not a hieroglyph for health. So then you've got the deities. So Ptah, I've never seen Ptah depicted like this. So, and then the canopic jars, so the sons of Horus. Okay, and Set, Ma'at, okay, she's depicted appropriately. Nefertim with the lotus, Osiris. Okay, so these are now starting to be more readable. Nephthys, water, Anubis, Sekhmet, Horus, fire, and Isis. Okay, so although why this is Isis rather than Hathor, anyway, let's not go there. So you've got a number of deities, which are quite well-known deities, except maybe for Set, whom I think is a little bit more obscure. So this is the deck that you have, that you've got basically to work with. So you're going to mix that. You're going to, you know, put them all together, and then you'll pick out the 13 cards after the shuffle, and you'll have the past, the current path, and the future over here. So let's do that together. Let's shuffle those cards. Difficult to do with a soft table. So it does say, you know, compose yourself and, you know, ask your question. And so we're just going to do a blank draw. Okay. Okay, so the instructions are, everything is very mystical, you know. The card spread doesn't have a name, was taught to us a number of years ago. So they don't know what it's called, but it works really well with those cards. You shuffle them thoroughly. So because I'm the sitter, I shuffle them thoroughly. And then I cut into 7 piles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is not going to be enough for me. Sorry. And then you give your cards, then you put your deck back in whatever order you want. And you put it back together like so. Okay, and now you're ready to lay the cards. Okay, so you're gonna have to lay your cards like the diagram, starting here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 10 11 12 13. That's a reverse square. So you use this strict method of you lay the first 6 cards on top of each other on the table. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then you take card 7, and that's card 1. Okay, then you do the same. 2 3 4 5 and 6, and that's card, they're all back to front, 2. Okay, and then you do the same. 1 2 3 4 5 6. You take number 7, sorry, and that is card 3. So I do realize that my focus is not going to be wide enough for you to be able to see this, but you get the idea. You do the next 6 cards and then you pick the 7th. Okay, and this is eventually going to give you, you repeat all these sets until you have your 13 cards, at which point you can start digging into it. So that's your 13. So you see what kind of a mix you can get between the different cards. Okay, you've got 3 deities, you've got some Harriets, you've got 2 Harriets, which are your chakras, you've got a number of the black cards, and you've got a couple of the pylons here. Okay, the deities, it's not so much that they are deities that are working with you. So if you take Isis, for example, it gives you a little bit about Isis. And then people with this type of personality do not suffer fools gladly. They wish to know the facts of the matter, are not concerned with extenuating circumstances. Everything must run like clockwork, and they are able to plan ahead with amazing accuracy. So this is telling you about you, what type of person you are. So right there, if I was doing a reading for someone, there's 6th Shafat. So anyway, so you've got this Shafat, and then you've got the ideas. Okay, so basically this person working on ideas, but this person is also working on a renewal process with the death card up there. They're also a mix between Isis and Thoth. Okay, so yes, you've got the past, so you're reading your past influences. You will need to go and see how fire is determined in here. Okay, without fire, humanity would have ceased to exist long ago. So it's a spiritual concept. Fire in the soul. Okay, so then it tells you about the sort of people that we're talking about, and so you will see how this applies, how this would apply to you. Okay, and then into the pylon. So if you were to read about the karma, it will be as it is written. Okay, the past will now return, and actions taken which might have been forgotten may well come home to roost. This is a pylon of cause and effect, so what we do now will affect our future accordingly. Past experience can be taken advantage of, and old ideas that may well have been put aside should be examined. So it's not that karma is necessarily a bad card. You just need to see how everything fits together to influence the present. Okay, so it has brought to this death card, the pylon, and then clearly you have a lot going for you if this is your spread. Okay, with loads of ideas which maybe were sparked by that fire, and ideas that were maybe re-explored from the karma. Okay, so you can see how things spill into the present timeline. And from the present timeline, how is this going to continue into an arrow? You can see that there's an absence of pylons and there's an absence of deities. We're just in more of the mundane here. So it might be that this transformation at the top is actually taking longer than the spread can actually express at this point. Okay, you may have some diversion, some choices to make, some burdens that will turn up. So you will have to deal with a number of things. So if we take the burdens, for instance, go to burdens number 6, responsibilities. The 6th cubit relates to our mental and emotional faculties and how they interact. We have a tendency to accept the responsibilities of others as though they were our own. Sometimes if someone tells us of a problem they have, we feel a twinge of guilt that we are reasonably well and happy. Although this cubit indicates sensitivity, it also indicates great strength, provided that we can achieve the correct balance between mental and emotional demand. Another beneficial aspect of this cubit is the instinctive ability to tell the truth from false. When this energy is at its most intense, we feel that we can anticipate the comments of other people before they speak. So it's that one. So, you know, when you read burdens, don't feel, oh no, this is going to be like a 9 of Wands or a 10 of Wands. You know, there's more to the card. You know, it's talking about your faculties to anticipate and tune in and your thought processes. So it's not just about announcing burdens as such. All of this, whatever, you know, you wouldn't need to go and dig into the book because nothing is exactly as it seems in these cards, okay? So that's why one of the problems with it is that you have to keep referring to the book. And you know, if you know me, you know that I don't like to go and refer to the book all the time. Anyway, this comes out in 2 choices. So you've got an initiating event in the past, which sparks, you know, the past line, then the present line, and then this is going to funnel into the future, okay? And in 2 choices. So this is what the spread looks like. I would say that the spread and the write-up is probably what saves this deck. The write-up for the cards is very good. The spread is very good. I have issues with the depictions mostly, and the fact that is this to do with ancient Egypt? I'm not sure that this has got a lot to do with ancient Egypt at the end of the day. So let me bring you closer again. The cards are reasonably well depicted, although I thought they looked a bit off, you know, a bit childish to me. Let's try and put these back together. I do like the black cards. Is it a deck that I go to? No. Am I happy when I go to it? Yes, because it gives you a lot of detail in the readings. So I'm really ambivalent about this deck. I don't really know whether to recommend it or not. If you can get a cheap copy and you're really curious about this deck, then go for it. But would I pay, you know, £50 or in excess of £50 knowing now what I know about it? No, I think there's better decks to be had out there, like maybe the Book of Doors. I just don't know that this one is really what, you know, it's not going to become my favorite deck that I'm going to be going to every day, because also the one spread that you're given to work with is quite an involving spread, so you could spend a really long time on that one spread. So, you know, if you're doing this for yourself or even for a friend, and you're doing the spread and you've got like a couple of hours of an afternoon, then that's fine. But there's practicalities about it. This is not a very practical deck, okay? It's just not a very practical deck. And then I have issues that the depictions are quite aged, okay? So, if you can get a cheap version, yes, go for it. I think you might need to look for the Oracle of the Pharaohs rather than the ancient Egyptian Oracle. It's the second edition. This one, the original, you're going to pay a lot of money because it's an original, but unless you're very sure about it, I wouldn't go out there. And this is partly why I'm doing these, right? Because then I can tell you, don't go and waste your money, right? I've wasted mine. You don't need to waste yours. Anyway, what do you think about it? Do you find it interesting? How interesting do you find it in comparison to the Book of Doors? Have you seen our video on the Book of Doors? Do you like the way the Book of Doors reads? It's a very alchemical process, is the Book of Doors. My only beef with it is that the cards are very monochord. I can show you one or two. You know, they're very monochordy kind of cards. I mean, they do have more color than I ever remember that they have. And they have that dice, and they work with the Pythagorean triangle. I mean, it works completely differently. But if I had money to spend, I might go there before I went there. Maybe you can check out this video and tell me. I think you could very well use the spread. I'm going to put it up here again. You could use the spread and use the number methodology of picking the cards, which is very good, with a standard tarot. Okay, if you have a tarot, you could just work like that. I think there's maybe 70 cards in there, or around 70 cards. I like that you get like the different, the different suits. Okay, that's quite fun. But is it enough for what it is? I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? Are you into this, or is it not so sure? Can you get it cheaply? I think you can get the Oracle of the Pharaohs fairly cheaply on Amazon. So maybe worth, you know, if you're looking for one, maybe worth checking out the Amazon one. And it's not that it's a cheap version. It's just that it's the second release, which is much, much cheaper than this one. Okay. Do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It was a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but thank you for sticking with me. And do share with your friends who enjoy Egyptian oracles, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.